Alright, so here's the final video on my Mermaid Warrior. Alright, so as you can see there, flats by Carl off of my lines. Final background layers. What I did here was I merged all of my background layers. I was pretty happy with everything. If there's any other repaints, they could just go on their own layer had I desired, which I did not, but yeah, so I just merged it all, save a little bit of memory usage while the file is open. So there's that. Figures, I actually did the exact same. These are all based in multiple layers. They're all merged together. You can see that I did something a little bit similar on the rim lighting on the skin. It is a comic book. So there's a little bit of unrealistic lighting here and there, but it serves its purpose just to get certain areas of the body and tail and all that to pop. The same goes for her aquatic friends, her buddies. And then these are all post edit. I feel like I did more work in post edit than I actually did in character renders, but I'll just go down because as I did name them, you can see what I did here. So a little bit of hair rim, some extra lighting above her, as you can see it applied there. Shield post, so a little bit of post edit on the color, some hard light layers, some rim lighting. Eyes post, you can see her eyes pop a little bit when I click that on and off. I'm going to leave that on. Shell pose, so that's her shoulder pad there, which I did the spiraling shell. Fish. There's some more detail on the fish. Crab eyes. I made them glow, as all crab's eyes naturally do in the ocean. Blue skin tint. Okay, so you can see down here where the skin ends and all the scales and that begin, which I decided to do in full render in Photoshop. I didn't really want to draw all that and then come in and render it. I figured it would just be a lot prettier to do with specific brushes and such. So anyways, the blue tint, I really just utilized it to give a little bit more of a transition there between the abdomen and the tail tint. A little bit extra work there. Since I did not use so much of the reflective blue lighting on the skin, I decided to apply it instead on the tail so she doesn't look so much like a snake. A lot more blue introduction, a little more conforming to the background colors. And the colors that I did use, I color picked, a little bit of the blue, the light blue, the darker green, a little bit of some of the teal midtones, and I just played with them. This is not just one layer. There are several layers, but as you can see, without it, that's all renders using yellows, greens, a little bit of blue, all merged into one layer, and then I added the tail tint, which changes the dynamic of it. It kind of pushes it back a little bit because obviously, with color theory, cool colors tend to push back. They recede. They're a receding color. Red is more in your face, and orange is the warm spectrum. Sword post, and post, I just mean post edit. It just means like final, my final sweep through the piece. So post edit, I just added a little bit of a rim light. It just looks kind of cut and pasty here, especially because I'd put some rim lighting in that on the rest of the sword there. So yeah, there's that there. Post one, I have no idea what that is. Oh, there you go. Okay, so that's my line knockouts, meaning that I took the black lines and changed them into a color, and I also did a little bit of overlay texturing on the tail area, as you can see, a little bit there, and then in her armpit webbing, because all mermaids have armpit webbing. Final, here we go. I have no idea what that is hitting right there. Oh, there you go. A little bit more lighting up here in the top with the hair. And then I didn't feel like the eyes were noticeable enough on the fish. So boom, there you go. He's possessed. All right, pose 2. That is signature and a little bit of color burn, color additions on the edges. You cannot see it from this far out, but I added some more texture, some splatter texturing to the glow on top. I didn't feel like it was gritty enough. There should be a little bit of debris catching some light, and that's pretty much what that is. As you can see me click it on and off. Final post, there you go. So that right there, just kind of what I felt gave it that the cinematic feel. You need a little bit of that Michael Bay. I'm not a fan of lens flare. I'd rather just kind of brush it in myself. So the lens flare tools, I honestly don't think I've actually used any of the lens flare filters in maybe 2 decades. I mean, it's been forever. So I just prefer to hand brush them in. I mean, I did hand brush on everything else. May as well do it on the final pass, right? So yeah, I just felt like the lighting behind her, it's effective like this, but I also felt like the hair should be behind her, and I needed to push it back a little bit as well. So I was like, well, the tail and the hair are both, behind her. Obviously, there's extreme light source coming from above and the back, which is unrealistically hitting the sides of her face. Comic books. So there you go. And that is it. She's all finished. And I will probably put up an update of what she's actually going to be used for at some point. But for today, that's it.